Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mariah and here on my channel I post lifestyle and university related content. So if you're interested in that, make sure you subscribe and turn the notification bell to all, and also go and check out the Instagram account arayray.yt. I share my things on there when I'm going to post and stuff like that. So check that out, give that a follow as well. Today's video I am going to share with you how I learned anatomy, like the various methods I used to teach myself anatomy during my undergraduate degree, and fingers crossed it works out for me in the future as I go on the road to pursue physiotherapy. So I've got different methods of doing things and I have them on the bed, some examples. The first one here is obviously flashcards. So flashcards are pretty easy. I made this back in first year because, as I've mentioned in like my other anatomy videos, like my functional anatomy testing video, I mentioned how I haven't done functional anatomy since my first year because I haven't really had to. Obviously you need to know certain aspects of like muscles and things like that, but neither in like as much depth. I didn't really need it for the sports science at the time. But yeah, so I made these flashcards in first year, and like the green stuff were like exam questions, and then the blue stuff were ligaments, pink were muscles, and I guess there was some more muscles in the yellow as well, and then pink at the back were like, you know, the types of muscle shapes and stuff like that. And I find like the reason I have various methods to learn anatomy is because one thing doesn't work for all. So like, yes, having the muscles like this and things like that, like this where I've drawn in and done exam questions like this is good for me because in it I find when you repeat it, obviously with flashcards constantly, it helps you remember it better than if I was just reading it like some of my other methods. I have like just reading a book constantly. Sometimes it doesn't go in for me all the time, basically. So I found this was very helpful, and because it's very small as well, I could put it in my bag. And even on the day of my exam, when I had the exam, I remember I was flicking through it in the morning prior to the exam, just reminding myself of little things, and it was just very helpful and very little cute and very easy to make. Just, you know, it doesn't even have to be actual flashcard cards, just random cards, shoelace. Another method I used to teach myself anatomy was I typed up a bunch of notes from my lecture notes and condensed them down into like these little, well, they're not little basically, but these sheets. So I've got various sheets. This one's the shoulder, I've got one for the trunk, got some terminology ones, and I've got elbow, wrist, ankle, hip and knee. So just basically covering the whole body apart from the head, because like I've said before, I never learnt about the head in depth or anything like that, like the bones and them kind of things in my sport and science degree. But in these sheets, as you can see, I've got images where I've drawn on there as well, highlighted aspects, so I made sure I covered like the bones, the ligaments, joints, muscles, all in here, and had like a little table there for the muscles with the origins, insertions and the actions for myself. And I did that for like all of them, which I found very helpful for revising. The perks of this is that I did this on OneNote, and if you don't use OneNote, well, you wouldn't know that OneNote, you could use it on like all Microsoft Surfaces. So you could use it on your laptop, I could use it on my phone, even though like my phone isn't Microsoft, but you know what I mean. I could use it on my phone, I could basically access it anywhere, and that's what I really liked about this, is that I didn't have to walk around with these printed out. And to be honest, I only really printed them out close to the exam time from what I remember. Another method I did was printing out images. So I printed out various images of like muscles and stuff, and again, what I remember is when it came to revising, on my wall behind the camera, I had the images posted all over the wall, and I was just sitting there revising, looking at the images, because as I mentioned before, I'm not that great with muscles and I'm more of a visual person, so seeing where they're actually located on the body was very helpful. So I'd print them out, I'd highlight them, I'd do that, and like movements and stuff like that, so I could look at them in more depth. I have many more of those, but I decided not to bring them all out for the video. As well as printing out just general photos, I would print out unlabeled stuff. So I would label it myself, because obviously it's one thing to just look at a photo and be like, oh, okay, there. But then it gets to a point where you're just memorizing the photo. Whereas if, you know, you're printing these out and labeling them yourself, you're like, okay, you're learning along the way, you're getting coloring, you're doing these stuff as well. So as you can see, I've got the colors where I've drawn in like certain aspects of the scapula here. I've got the arrows, the blue arrows here. I'm not sure if you can see them properly. On the blue arrows there, I've drawn where the ligaments are located. So I kind of just put everything on there in that one go. And then over here in the corner, I've written like the movements it makes. So it's just like, if I looked at this, I would know that I'm looking at the bones, ligaments, the joints, and the movements here, but obviously not the muscles on this one here. And then I did a similar thing for the spine. I labeled the spine. I printed another photo of the different vertebrae, and I put that there as well to help me learn. And if you notice, that one I annotated it myself, and that helped me in the process there. And a big one that people tend to do is obviously use books. So I got this book. I'm pretty sure there's now like a 7th edition to this book, but I don't know if I'll be purchasing it because, to be fair, realistically, they're probably the same with just a few tweaks. But anatomy doesn't really change, in my opinion. Anyway, so I got this book back in first year about the anatomy and human movement. Very, very helpful book. Most people in my class, I remember in my year, didn't really purchase the book because they were like, I didn't need it. But when the teacher said, hey, you know, it's suitable for people who want to pursue physio in the future, I was like, and I'm buying it. So yeah, in this book, it covers a load of things, as it says in the title, basically. And I found it very helpful for when I was making the flashcards or when I was just typing up notes and there was something that I may have missed from the lectures. I used this book as well as this human anatomy book. I can't remember when I got it. I think my aunt gave it to me many years ago, and it's a little dirty because I've had it for many years, but it's very helpful. It came with some posters as well. I need to get new ones, but that's helpful. Posters is obviously another big thing. You could either buy posters or you could do what I did with printing out photos and kind of make my own type of posters. And the reason my laptop is here as well is because obviously another way of learning anatomy is just going online, watching other people's videos. Someone may do like YouTube videos going through the actual specific parts of the body that you're interested in, or, you know, if all goes wrong, ask Google, and Google could help you there. But that was just like kind of the methods I used to teach myself anatomy in my undergraduate degree, and I'm just hoping, really hoping, that it helps me in the future using these same methods. The only thing I'm changing up is with the flashcards. I have now, I'm kind of in the process of writing all the stuff and transferring it over to more digital based things. So like, as you've seen in other videos, I'm doing digital notes, and as for flashcards, I decided to download Anki, and I'm hoping that Anki could be a thing that I use for myself. But even though I transferred things over to Anki, I'm not going to get rid of these methods just in case me and Anki do not get along. But yeah, so that was my anatomy resources review kind of thing.